Hey there, guys. This is Flamzeron, aka YouTube's Tasuke. And even though E3 is over, it's actually a good fair amount over. I'm doing this over a month later. Sorry about that, but just other priorities and stuff. And I wanted to do sort of a big video, kind of talking about my general thoughts on E3, which is probably what I'm going to call this video, and stuff that I was interested in, but wasn't really like big enough to talk about like on its own and whatnot. As well as I'm going to talk about the different press conferences for all like the big three, like the Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft ones. And just kind of give my thoughts. And I'm also going to talk about what I would have liked to see because there were some things that I would have liked to see that we unfortunately didn't see. But yeah, so why don't we just jump right into it? The first thing on my list is I actually wrote stuff down. The Microsoft press conference. The the one thing, there are really two things in my opinion to note here, and the first one being the Xbox One S. I'm not going to talk about the Scorpio or the Neo. I feel like that's sort of like a different subject entirely. The Xbox One S, that's probably going to be the version I end up getting if I end up getting an Xbox One, unless the price difference becomes pretty big. Because I imagine original Xbox Ones are going to be and I know that's kind of that's gonna be sound kind of like, wait, do you mean the original Xbox that came after the Dreamcast, or are you talking about just the Xbox One? I mean the first Xbox One they did, where like if the prices are different enough, because obviously the Xbox One S will probably be more expensive. I think. I don't remember. I think they actually released a price number for it. I don't remember. I don't remember what that price number is either way. I do like that it would be smaller. And I'd probably take advantage of the um, backwards compatibility. I would imagine most of the games, except for maybe the original Xbox games I have, like Shenmue 2, um, Soul Calibur 2, and Morrowind, probably wouldn't work too well, but we'll see. I don't remember. I think they're only doing Xbox 360 backwards compatibility. I don't remember, but yeah, I figured they probably were gonna announce one eventually. The Slim console. I mean, it was only a matter of time, and I think they're also doing the same thing for the PS4. But there's not much we know about that. The only other thing that I found of note with the Microsoft press conference was the custom controller making website. Um, where you can customize your own controller. Obviously, Microsoft trying to take advantage of the custom controller market and the mod market as well, because people make mods for their controllers, like how they have those triggers on like the sides of the controller, so that you don't have to take your hands off the joysticks for that FPS Major League Gaming stuff. If I get an Xbox One, I probably will maybe make my own controller, probably just a red one. I'm not really looking for anything too major. I might put my name on it, like just Ryan or something. But who knows? Maybe put my phone number on it. It's like, if you find this game, um, well, that's kind of cool. Those are the only two things I took note of for the Microsoft press conference. For Sony's, the the only thing that was exclusive to them. I'm not talking about any of like their third party game reveals. Um, Arguably with the exception of this one, because I know the Crash series is owned by, I think, Activision or something, but they're doing Crash remasters of, I believe, 1, 2, and 3 for PS4, and I know this pissed off a lot of people. Personally, I don't. I mean, I would have liked a new one too. I'm honestly more of a Spyro guy than a Crash guy. My favorite Crash game is probably the third one. Um, I might pick this one up, just so that because I could have the third one on the PS4 like easy access. I mean, I already have my PS2 hooked up, so it's not like it would be that inconvenient. So I don't know. Maybe I feel like with this, they're thinking before we can even consider making a new Crash game, we need to make sure that people are still interested in Crash, and so we have to release this remaster. I think that may be their mindset, or that would be my mindset if I were doing this. And he's also going to appear in Skylanders, which is interesting. To me, the Skylanders highlight was the custom character thing. I think that's actually kind of cool. Like, I'm actually thinking about picking up Skylanders just because of that. Um, I don't know what version I want though now, because I imagine the Crash one will be exclusive to the PlayStation, whereas there's the Donkey Kong and Bowser one that's exclusive to Nintendo. Like, I don't know. I know at this point Crash would be kind of third party in a way, or second party rather. I guess technically Donkey Kong in a way is kind of second party, because the last game that came out was that Retro Studios thing, which I think they're owned by Nintendo, but I don't think they are actually a complete part of Nintendo. It's kind of like with the Tales series before they merged into Namco, where they were technically outsourced, but it was like a company owned by Namco in a way. Um, so that's pretty interesting, I guess. I don't know, the Crash remasters. I might pick them up. I in terms of my game collection regarding Crash, I'm kind of satisfied. I'm thinking about picking up Crash 2 for the collection. I'm not sure, because that was the only other one I played, and I have Crash Bash, and I should probably get Crash Team Racing, and I don't know what PS2 one I'm gonna get. I might just kind of skip over that and just stick with the originals. The other thing that I wanted to note in regards to the Sony press conference was God of War, how they're making a new one. It's kind of interesting. I heard the rumors about them going into the Norse mythology, so anyhow Kratos was going to have a beard, and I was expecting that. I think some people are kind of confused on whether or not it's a reboot or not based on just the trailer itself. It's definitely a rebooted game system. Like, they're kind of changing the game, it would seem. They're doing kind of like the overhead thing, and the gameplay is just kind of different. I think story-wise, it actually takes place like near the end of after like whatever the latest God of War game was. I think technically God of War 3. So I guess this would be God of War 4 technically. That's what I believe. I don't think it's like a complete reboot and like they're just rebooting the entire story and starting over. I think it's meant to be technically God of War 4. I noticed I heard they changed Kratos' voice actor, which I don't know why they did that. It was apparently for like stylistic reasons. The cut scenes was actually really interesting. I thought it was really interesting seeing Kratos, like, he's when the son like shoots the deer and like the deer runs away and he's like, "What are you doing?" It's like, you, and then he calms down and then he like takes a deep breath and he's like, "You messed up," or something like that. I don't remember specifically what he says, but it was kind of interesting seeing him sort of like try to actually be a dad, and that scene where like there's the he's fighting the big guy and he's like, "Shoot now, shoot," and he accidentally shoots Papa Kratos, and Kratos, he just, after they defeat the big guy, he just kind of pulls the arrow out, and the son's like, "I am so sorry," and he just puts his hands up and he's like, "Your deer is getting away." And sort of like the "don't apologize, just be better" thing, which he actually does say that to the kid as well. And then near the end, there's that one scene where like it zooms out and he's about to put his hand on his son, but doesn't. Like, I don't know. I've heard a YouTuber that I follow talk about how he felt like it was sort of like the focus. I didn't really think it was that much of a big deal, but I do think that it also illustrates further the kind of relationship that Kratos is going to have with his son. I believe they've said that what's the word? Oh yeah, I had a bit of a braingasm there. I believe they've said that Kratos and his son were going to be it's not going to like be a prologue thing. Then you start playing as Kratos. I think they're going to give you both. And you're going to go through the entire story with both of them, and that's interesting. It'll definitely add for some interesting dynamic. It'll be interesting to see what they do with it. I'm not real big into God of War. I do have 1, 2, and 3, the HD versions on the PS3, as well as Ascension, because they came with the special edition PS3 that I got when I needed to get a new one. So, yeah, but I don't know. I might give this one a try. We'll see. I'm not that into God of War. I don't want to sell the games of it that I have just because the collection. Make me feel weird to not have them, but that was cool. Those were the only two things that I noted. Now for the Nintendo press conference, arguably the show stealer was The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. It looks definitely really interesting. Like, it looks like it's going to be more like open. It looks more like an open world RPG than an adventure game, which I've only seen a little bit of it, but it's actually kind of interesting. It makes me. It almost makes me want to like be able to like customize Link and like make a whole new character, like a player avatar. I don't think they're gonna do that. Um, but it looks really interesting. And I read to say like the game can be beaten without going through the story. It's like this is definitely probably the Wii U's most ambitious game. It definitely looks really really cool. I might give it a try. I'm pretty sure that was the only thing they talked about at the press conference. Uh, take that how you will, but it definitely looks pretty cool, and I'll probably give it a try. They didn't talk about the NX that much. I know there's the new thing with Nintendo that I will talk about in a separate video, but yeah, that's pretty cool. In terms of smaller stuff, the first one was the Batman Telltale game, and I say it's a small stuff because I'm actually not as interested anymore because I was really looking forward to sort of like a Batman like a game kind of similar to the Arkham games, which seems sort of like what this game is doing, except more of a focus on story, and it's going to be episodic, and it has like the cell shading graphics, which I was fine with. I don't like sort of the modern take that they seem to be doing. Like Batman, it looks like they're doing sort of like the battle armor thing with Batman, which I actually don't like. I actually kind of prefer sort of like the just regular costume kind of thing. I don't know. I feel like people seem to forget that Batman has skills outside of just being Batman. Like he's like a master martial artist, and he has like a lot of. I think he has like some college degrees as well, and like he studies, and he's like super smart. He's got like good stealth and detective skills and whatnot. And I feel like giving him battle armor just kind of makes him seem like he's got like some sort of like hindrance, and that he like almost kind of like Iron Man, how without the suit, Tony Stark is only so much. Which is why I like the version of Tony Stark where the not only is like the little reactor like the blue thingy part of him, but also I liked it when like the armor is actually inside his bones as well. Because I remember there's actually a version of the armor that's like that. That's the version of that's the kind of Iron Man I prefer, where it's sort of like a part of him, and he's not just a human with armor. But I don't know. I might still give it a try and see what it's all about. I don't know if this game will have much combat, but we'll see. And the final thing I want to talk about is the Kingdom Hearts 2.8. It looks kind of cool. I'm definitely gonna pick it up. I didn't actually watch the trailer, but I was already gonna like pick it up, and I've seen a little bit, and it actually looked pretty cool. And I know this is supposed to be sort of like in a way, this is almost like a Kingdom Hearts 3 demo in terms of showing us the engine and whatnot. I do want to note one thing. I did read an article where they were talking about the idea of maybe putting like a Kingdom Hearts collection on PS4, and they think like, oh, it's not out of the question. And I actually kind of hope they don't do that, because I did just buy Kingdom Hearts 2.5 HD for my PS3, and I plan on picking up the first game as well, the 1.5 HD for the collection, because I'm trying to kind of complete some of my some of the collections for my like my personal collection. I'm not saying I'm gonna try to have a complete PS3 game collection, but like certain games that I want that actually are getting pretty cheap now. I've been trying to kind of get a hold of, and Kingdom Hearts 1.5 HD is one of them. I mean, it won't be that big a deal, and I imagine there's not going to be that much different unless like they like revamp Rechain of Memories or something. Like if they change it to where I don't know about necessarily that, but I don't know, dual audio might be a deal breaker for me. I don't know. I'm not into Kingdom Hearts enough to where I'm just going to get every single version. I did want to get 1.5 HD and 2.5 HD because of they include the final mix versions in English. I'm like, oh well, I can just get those, and yeah, So that's cool. Um, in terms of stuff I wanted to see, I was kind of hoping for a Shenmue HD announcement. I think that would have been cool. I know some people. I know a lot of people seem to think that they're not going to do it until Shenmue 3 is already out, which I think makes sense. I feel like though, because I feel like people's arguments would be like, well, they don't necessarily know if Shenmue's successful or not, and they want to see if how it is after Shenmue 3 comes out. To combat that, I say, well, one, Sega has said that they are looking into um, doing ports. They are investigating it, and two, once Shenmue 3 came out, and I'm one of the people who did this as well, a lot of people bought Dreamcasts and a lot of people bought Shenmue 1. I don't know about Shenmue 2 because I got the Xbox version anyway, so it didn't really matter to me, but a lot of people got Shenmue and Dreamcast, so it's kind of funny how like suddenly all these people are starting to get interested in Shenmue. I imagine a lot of people who were like me, who maybe knew about the series a little bit. I had seen a friend play it at a birthday party, and I didn't see anything else about it. And but then like after I think it was Yu-Gi-Oh! The Abridged is when the second was when like the most recent pre Shenmue 3 exposure I had to it. Um, I There was a joke about Shenmue 3. I'm like, oh wait, Shenmue, that sounds interesting. And I thought it was like a whale thing, but and then I looked into it. It's like, oh yeah, I remember that. And so I had sort of like this. I kind of knew it as sort of like, oh, like the quintessential groundbreaking Dreamcast game. I think even for a time I even considered it overrated, and of course, obviously that's not true anymore. But yeah, I think Shenmue HD would have been cool. Uh, they did show Xenoverse 2 stuff, but I'm gonna be talking about that in another video. Um, so that's something. I would have maybe liked to see something on the NX. I feel like because it's supposed to come out in like next March, so which is making me kind of wonder what it is. Like it's either going to be revealed at like Gamescom or TGS or probably at its own like event, like a live stream of sorts. But we'll have to see. Uh, I would have liked to see something on the Dark Souls 3 DLC. I know it's supposed to come out in the fall, but I was kind of hoping for something. I imagine it's probably going to be shown at Gamescom or TGS. Um, I actually, um, I actually think they may show From Software's next three games because there's already like an article that came out that a while ago that said like at Gamescom Namco's going to reveal a new IP, and I think they said like they're three of them and they're interesting, which is making me wonder. Okay, are you guys talking about From Software by chance? Because they said those games were interesting as well, and they're working on three games. But who knows? And it could also just be something completely different. Um, I maybe would have liked to see something on Elder Scrolls 6, like a teaser. And I know a lot of people say, "Oh, it's too early." I don't think so because they would do trailers for games pretty well in advance. Um, um, like I feel like it had been like a long enough time after Skyrim. Um, I know there's Elder Scrolls Online, which I think kind of messed up sort of the timing of things a little bit. I feel like usually if Elder Scrolls Online hadn't been made, I imagine we probably would have a um, Elder Scrolls 6 announcement by now. Um, but you know, I think that's pretty much it. I can't really think of anything else to note, but it definitely looks there was some pretty cool stuff, and it looks like some other stuff might be coming out. Like I said, I'm gonna do the Xenoverse 2 video pretty soon, so that's probably actually gonna come up next. But I wanted to get this one out since E3 has concluded. I figure I should give like general thoughts on it and whatnot, and yeah, it was pretty good, pretty interesting stuff. We'll have to see what they have for the next E3. Um, I imagine they may show some Shenmue 3 stuff at that point because it'll be further along in development to where it's almost coming out. But yeah, this is Flames Around Nikki Sasuke signing out. See you later.